All right, so today I'm going to read the second half to you of the Kingdom of Wrenly, Book 18, The Stroke of Midnight. Remember this? The Stroke of Midnight. Okay, here we go. Okay, and I am going to read the chapter headings with you. And Acadia, maybe you could read these along with me because I know you like to read the chapter headings. So I'm gonna read the first 5 chapter headings. Is that enough light? I can't really see this very well. I'm not getting much light here. Well, hopefully it works. Hopefully you can see this okay. Contents. Chapter 1, Weird Weather. Chapter 2, Knock Knock, Who's There? Chapter 3, Head Games. Chapter 4, The Book of Counterspells. Chapter 5, Switchity Swappity. And I'm sure you remember this, what's happened so far, which is that our friends, Prince Lucas and his friend Clara, have gone to try to find out what is causing all the weather to go wrong. And it turns out that there is this very young witch who is trying to learn her spells, and she's messing everything up. And that's what's making the weather crazy. And she accidentally switched Clara's and Prince Lucas's head. So now they're going to try to find a counterspell. So we're up to chapter 6. Chapter 6 is Ravenna the Witch. Hold on a second. Your grandmommy is trying to talk to me. Yes, grandmommy?
Did you send Henry?
I sure did. Okay. I sent Henry a message and I did copy you.
Thank you.
Okay, so here we go. I knocked my camera over. Wow. Okay, here we go. That doesn't look bright to me. Maybe I'm just not looking at it right. But anyway, we'll see. Ravenna the Witch, Chapter 6. The kids hurried down the boardwalk, back toward their horses. Lucas now had Clara's face and was wearing her clothes. At least on the outside, Clara was now the Prince of Wrenly. So they switched clothes so that the clothes went with the heads. Lucas had never imagined what it might be like to switch places with his best friend. It was strange, but kind of fun at the same time. Soon the kids unhitched their horses, but since they were both in disguise, their horses wouldn't move on command, so they had no choice but to switch horses too. I have to head west, said Lucas. There's a compass in the pocket of my tunic if you get lost. Well, I'm going east, Clara said, and my pocket holds a stopwatch should you need it. So they're telling each other what is in the pockets of each other's clothes. Then she slapped her reins. See you at sundown. Good luck. Same to you, said the prince, and he rode off in the other direction. This says Ravenna's Apothecary. Apothecary. We talked about that last time. That's a place where you might get prescriptions or potions. Lucas arrived at Ravenna's Apothecary on the edge of Bogperp. The apothecary was a large, round hut made of upright sticks, mud, and a thatched roof. Scraggly, twisted vines crept up the sides. Lucas took a rope with bells right beside the door. Jingling-ling-ling-ling! A witch with dark black hair, green eyes, and a pointed black hat opened the door. Hello, are you Ravenna? Asked Lucas. The witch didn't so much as smile at the prince. She simply raised one eyebrow. Bogperp rarely had human visitors, let alone kid visitors. See, this is Prince Lucas, but it looks like Clara, doesn't it? Yes, she said, meowing the word yes like a cat. She looked Lucas up and down. And what brings the likes of you to Bogperp? Have you lost your way, child? Lucas stepped back in surprise. Everyone usually knew who he was, but then he remembered that right now he was Clara. "Yes, if I may, I'd like to come in," said the prince, glancing in the window. "It doesn't look very busy inside." Ravenna drew a deep breath and opened the door a bit wider. Lucas stepped into the shop, which is also Ravenna's home. See what's happening here, girls? He's used to being the prince, and everybody treats him with respect and deference. And so now he's learning what it's like just to be an ordinary person. And so now he's not getting the same respect that he normally gets. So it's very educational for him to realize that he has always just assumed people were going to be nice to him, but not necessarily. Okay, the showroom was like being in a witch's candy shop. Shelves and tables were stocked with crystals, seashells, fish bones, potions, herbs, dried flowers, charms, beads, and a wide selection of broomsticks, wands, and cauldrons. The prince wandered around, taking a close look at everything. Ravenna dusted trinkets as she kept one eye on her customer. Finally, Lucas spied a basket with rabbit's feet. He picked a tawny colored one. Against one wall stood barrels of plants, herbs, and roots. He grabbed a fistful of mandrake root from a bin. After one last look around, he set the items on the counter. See, he's gathering up the stuff that he needs for the counter potion, the counterspell potion. "And how do you plan to pay for this?" Ravenna asked quizzically. Lucas didn't have any money, but he did know how to make a deal. "I can grant you a favor from the prince whenever you need it," he said. "I know him and give you my word." Ravenna's eyes lit up. A favor from a prince could come in handy. "And how am I supposed to trust your word?" Lucas pulled out Clara's royal stopwatch, which had the crest of the Kingdom of Wrenly. Ravenna knew that a commoner would not own something of such value without palace connections. Then the prince wrote a note of promise, signed it, and held out the watch. "Take this watch," he said, "and if you come to the castle, give this note to a palace guard." The witch grabbed the two things. Then she put the rabbit's foot and mandrake root in a bag. "You may go this time, but I will hold you to this promise," she said. Lucas nodded, took the bag, and slipped out into the rain. The storm had gotten worse, and night was coming soon. So he accomplished his mission. Chapter 7. So this is Clara dressed as Lucas, with Lucas's head. Clara galloped along a forest trail, holding her map in one hand. The wind whipped her hair this way and that until a strong gust blew the map from her hand. Clara, who was not used to being in Lucas's boots, hopped down from Lucas's horse. She reached over and carefully plucked the wet map from the swamp. "Oh no, the ink smeared and now I can't read it." Clara looked around, not sure what to do, and that's when she spied big trouble. Two alligators were crawling out of the swamp, and their snouts were pointed right in her direction. Ivan, who was usually a very brave horse, whinnied and ran for safety. So Clara sprinted toward a nearby tree, too. The alligators picked up speed. Plump, 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 plump. Jaws open. Ooh, that looks terrible. Clara shimmied up the trunk, grabbed a branch, and pulled herself up. I wonder if alligators can climb trees. I bet you they can't. They don't look like tree climbers to me. There she is. She climbed to a higher branch, panting to catch her breath. She stared down at the alligators. They hissed. Clara shuddered at the sight of their jagged teeth. "Oh no, I'm stuck in a tree, trapped by alligators," she thought. "I have to stay calm and scare them away." So she snapped a branch and shook it at the alligators, but they didn't budge. Clara groaned. She needed another plan, but she had no ideas. Then she heard a familiar squawk. Squawk. Oh, that's right. We haven't seen our friend, the Scarlet Dragon, yet. And here he is. She looked up at the sky and saw Ruskin, the prince's pet scarlet dragon. "Ruskin, down here," Clara cried. Ruskin swooped down and blew a stream of fire at the alligators. Then he chased the alligators back to the swamp. He flew to Clara and helped her down. On the ground, Ruskin circled her and sniffed her. Of course, she smelled like Lucas, but the dragon could sense that something wasn't right. "Ruskin, you can trust me. It's me, Clara," she said, patting his head. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's going to confuse him. "Lucas and I are in trouble, and we need your help." And with that, Ruskin squawked loudly. He was always ready to help his friends. So Clara slid onto the dragon's back. Together, they looked for Ivan and found him hiding in a grove of trees. Clara hopped off the dragon and onto Lucas's horse. "Ruskin, we need to find Margrove Lagoon," said Clara. "Do you know where that is?" The dragon bobbed his head and took flight. Nobody knew the Kingdom of Wrenly better than Ruskin. Clara knew she could trust her brave friend and follow the scarlet dragon to a beautiful hidden lake. Ruskin flew down and circled a large patch of rainbow leaf. Rainbow leaf grew in the water, but Clara couldn't go swimming in Lucas's royal robes, so Lucas flew back and carefully carried Clara to the middle of the lake. Rainbow leaf, that's what they need for the counterspell potion. As the dragon dipped low over the water, Clara tugged on a big clump of rainbow leaf. The rainbow leaf stem snapped, but as she pulled back, Clara lost her balance. "Oh, no. Whoa," she cried, slipping off Ruskin's back, but the dragon quickly wrapped his tail around her before she splashed in the lake. Oh, that's nice. See right there, that wrapped your tail around the lake. "Wow, thanks, Ruskin. That was close," she said. "Now, take me back to Lucas's horse, Ivan, and let's ride. We haven't much time at all." You know why they haven't much time? Because, as you recall, in the first half of the book, they have to get this done by the stroke of midnight. Otherwise, the spell cannot be reversed, and Clara and Lucas will live out their lives with each other's heads. Chapter 8, The Great Oak Comes Alive. You see that, Acadia? The Great, and Lucy, the Great Oak Comes Alive. That's A for alive, like A in Acadia. And then L in alive. Alive, like Lucy, L for Lucy. Clara spied Lucas and her horse, Scallop, approaching Tilda's treehouse from the opposite direction. "Lucas," cried Clara. The prince waved as Ruskin flew to his best friend. "What are you doing here, boy?" Lucas said. The dragon happily nuzzled against the real prince. "I'm so glad to see you." They're nuzzling. Oh, isn't that sweet? See, Ruskin knows who the real prince is. "Did you find your ingredients?" asked Clara. "Yes, I got everything on my list," he said. "How about you?" Clara nodded. "Me too. We'd better get inside. It's getting dark." So Lisa and Clara tied their horses to the log rail, and Ruskin stayed outside. The kids shivered as they ran up the boardwalk. Their clothes were wet from the rain. "Oh, good, you're back," said Clover, waving the kids over to the cauldron. The house smelled like boiling swamp water. "Did you find everything?" Okay, there's Clover. Remember Clover? She's the young witch. And she's got the instructions in the counterspell book, and she started to boil water in the cauldron. Lucas and Clara held up their ingredients. Clover sighed with relief. The wet rainbow leaf dripped on the floor. "Quick! We need to add everything to the cauldron," Clover said. One by one, Lucas and Clara dropped the ingredients into the pot. The mixture bubbled wildly. "Now all we need is a piece of oak wood and its sweet sap," said Clover, stirring the mix. "Let's collect it together." Lucas and Clara pulled up their damp hoods and followed Clover outside. There we go. The witch stood at the base of a tree and pointed her wand at the trunk. Then she chanted this spell. Uh-oh, she's going to try another spell to get the oak wood. I don't know about this. We'll see how it works out. Tappity tap tap on the old oak tree. Sappity sap sap, come to me. Stickety wickety wee. Sparks flew from Clover's wand. She held out a bucket for the sap. But instead of the tree releasing its special sap, its branches moved and came to life. Oh no, she's brought the tree to life. And it's grabbed the two friends. Uh-oh, cried Clara as the kids backed away. The branches, like long bark-covered arms, reached down and wrapped around Lucas and Clara. Then the branches lifted them into the air, swirling the kids around. Help! They both cried. Ruskin heard the kids cry and flew to them right away. The dragon fought to free them, but the powerful branches pushed the mighty dragon away. Lucas and Clara were now prisoners of a magical old tree. So Lucas is not able to get them free. Oh, Clover and her spells. Chapter 9. There's Clover, there's a dragon. Ruskin is saying, hey, you gotta help. The magic ingredient. Clover dropped her wand and covered her face with her hands. I'm the worst witch in the world, she cried. Ruskin flew to her side and gave a roar of warning. With that, Clover snapped back to attention. This was no time for a pity party. That's when you're feeling sorry for yourself, a pity party. She needed to release the kids and reverse the spell before they were all in worse trouble. Clover covered her ears so she could think. Then she remembered that Tilda had cast a protection spell on her property to protect her magical secrets. If the oak tree sensed it was being attacked, the spell would kick in. If the oak tree sensed it was being attacked, the spell, this is a protection spell, would kick in. Okay. It would kick in. Okay, so that's why the oak tree acted the way it did. It sensed it was being attacked. I know the counter spell, Clover thought. I've heard Tilda recite it before. Clover quieted her thoughts as best she could. Then she chanted the spell. O magic oak tree, fear no harm. Let this spell break your charm. So she chanted. This was a counter spell for the oak tree grabbing the kids. O magic oak tree, fear no harm. Let this spell break your charm. Zap! The tree stopped thrashing and let go of Lucas and Clara. Ruskin swooped in and broke their fall. I did it, Clover cried as the kids scrambled to their feet. Well done, Clover, the prince said. Now let's get back to the cauldron before we run out of time. Everyone raced back into Tilda's treehouse, including Ruskin. Lucas and Clara studied the spell book to make sure Clover hadn't missed anything. That's when they found a possible error. Clover, a lot of these spells you've been practicing call for dry oak wood. Since it's been raining, the oak wood is wet. That must be what's causing all of the problems with your spells, including this nonstop rain. Oh, she's supposed to have been using dried oak wood all along, and she's been using wet oak wood. That's causing all the problems. But with the support of her two new friends, she was ready. She took a deep breath and marched outside. This time, she returned with a smile and a bucket full of oak sap. Well done, said Clara. Now, all we have to do is dry the oak wood. So Clover bent down and set the wet oak wood near the fire. Right as she turned back to the cauldron, Tilda's old clock struck 11:30. They had only 30 minutes left to undo the spell and turn things back to normal before the stroke of midnight. Chapter 10. Okay, I think this is the last chapter. This is where we're going to find out what happens with the friends and with their new friend Clover. There they are. Clover's stirring the cauldron. Bubbles and More Troubles. That's the title of the chapter. Bubbles and More Troubles. That doesn't sound like everything's going to go smoothly here. Let's find out. The kids watch Clover drizzle the oak sap into the brew. The cauldron boiled furiously. She stirred the pot and chanted the spell. One head, two head, my head, your head, switchity, swappity, bippity, bow. Now these heads are free to go to their bodies, higglety, ho. Let's read that again. One head, two head, my head, your head, switchity, swappity, bippity, bow. Now these heads are free to go to their bodies, higgledy, ho. Let's see what happened. Poof! Poof! A cloud of magical dust burst from the cauldron. When the dust cleared, Clover poured the potion into 2 cups. She held out one for Lucas and one for Clara. But that's when Ruskin got a tickle in his nose. Achoo! He sneezed. Ruskin sneezed and knocked the potion from Clover's hand. Poof, a cloud of magical dust whooshed into the air. When the cloud cleared, Clara's head was back on her shoulders. That's good. But now there was a new problem. What do you think it is? What do you think it is? What's a new problem? We're going to find out on the next page. Look at that picture. Oh my gosh. This time, the prince's head was on Ruskin's body, and Ruskin's head was on the prince's body. Lucas began to walk on all fours, while Ruskin squawked in panic. Oh dear, Clara cried, looking over at the clock. We have to make another batch of potion, and fast. There were less than 5 minutes until the stroke of midnight. So Clover quickly poured more swamp water into the cauldron and added the ingredients. She stirred the brew and waited for it to boil. When it bubbled, she chanted the spell. Then she ladled the potion into a bowl for Ruskin and into a cup for the prince. So now they just have a few seconds left to try to switch back again. There they go. Drink up, she cried. Lucas chugged the potion and Ruskin lapped from the bowl. Poof! Magic dust covered Lucas and Ruskin once again. When the dust settled, the prince and the dragon looked like themselves. Aww. You did it, cried Lucas, grinning from ear to ear. Sorry about that, Clover said sheepishly, and thanks for all your help. Thanks for all your help. And I bet now it's going to stop raining too. Hopefully they'll get that done. So Clover heated biscuits and cider. Here we go. Yep. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I missed a page. Okay, so sorry about that, Clover said sheepishly, and thanks for all your help. Ruskin squawked loudly as the clock finally struck midnight, and the front door swung open. It was Tilda the Witch. My goodness, she cried, setting down her broom. Why didn't I get an invitation to this royal midnight party? The kids looked at one another and burst into laughter. Welcome back, Tilda, said Clover. You're right on time for a celebration. So Clover heated biscuits and cider, and everyone sat down beside the warm fire. Then Clover and the kids took turns telling Tilda about their crazy, adventurous day. And after all that, guess what? Asked the prince, looking out at the full moon. The rain has stopped, and our mission is almost done. There they are. They're all sitting around having a good time eating biscuits. Their last order of business was for Ruskin to send news back to the castle. The kids would return with their horses as soon as the sun rose. It had been a long, strange, and stormy day, but thanks to Prince Lucas and his friends, all was well and back to normal in the Kingdom of Wrenly, right at the stroke of midnight. There we go. That's it. The Kingdom of Wrenly, 18, the stroke of midnight. Hope you liked hearing that as much as I enjoyed reading it. Bye-bye, girls.